slightly different, but about supporting women. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this as you look around you with the leadership ranks across boardrooms and just generally at the C-suite, right? You can see women missing or underrepresented. It's getting better, but it's still there, right? So how can we encourage more women to pursue senior leadership roles? How do we encourage them to raise their hand? Eemaan, let's start with you.
Sure. Yeah, it's a hot topic, and it's been for years. And every few years the flavor changes, but the root of it remains the same. I think it's women. I feel and I believe that women are ready for leadership roles. It's more of a matter of developing the culture so that organizations become more open to that idea as well. They need to be open to appointing women in leadership roles and more diverse women. Over here, I'd also like to say that हम सब मतलब पाकिस्तान से हैं and I'm a very proud Pakistani और हम सब यहाँ हैं because what binds us together is Pakistan and IBA, and bringing that to the table is really important because that's our unique identity. Of course, we come here and we go back to school and we've done other things here as well, and that's amazing, but really what gave us that start was IBA and women and being a woman in that environment. And even at that time, if we were to think back, there was actually not a vast difference in the ratio of men to women, which shows that in some ways we're really ahead of our times. But yes, to your point, Sana, and I'm in technology, there are very few leaders in technology, and a place like Princeton University, which is predominantly white male focused. So again, I mean, women are ready, and I think the mindset should not be that I'm a woman, so I should not apply. Like, we have to get out of that mindset of being gender specific. I'm a person, I have the skills, I have the qualifications, I have the experience, I'm just going to apply. So it's really about the organizations changing their mindset. And how are they going to do that? I mean, like you said, there are open discussions, people are more open to talking about these things. And then when women are appointed in leadership roles, we all know that we do our best. We're juggling family and kids and work, but we give work 101%. And hence, alhamdulillah, we are all here where we are today. So more and more organizations अब अपना वो सोच रही हैं कि जी औरतों को ज्यादा रखें, क्योंकि उन्होंने देखा है कि statistically जो women leadership roles में थी, those teams, those departments have done better. And then the other aspect of that is that what women bring to the table, and not in a way to gender sort of differentiate, but naturally, we are more empathetic, we are kinder leaders, we've had children, we understand, to your point, what other women are going through. So the leadership, which is based on empathy and kindness and understanding others, is really what's needed today. And because we've been through it, I feel women can bring more of that to the table.
Yusra?
Yeah, that's a lot of great points. I think let me start here. It's difficult for a woman. It's improved over the past few years, but I don't think we're still there. I follow a few CEOs who've been women and who've gone through their journey, and they all talk about hurdles. They all talk about challenges that face them. I think one thing that I've personally used that has really worked for me, and that a lot of women shy away from, is ask for it, right? Like, I can give you a number of examples in my fairly short career. My overall career is like only 10 years, right? When I see an opportunity where I can manage a team or a role, even if I feel I'm not 100% ready, I am confident in myself, I can put it through, I will raise my hand and ask for it. And my approach is, what is the worst that will happen? They'll say no, right? Yeah. That's fine. That's okay, right? Like, you got to ask for it. You don't know what's going to come if you don't ask for it. So in my personal career, when I started post MBA for recruiting for investment banking, everyone in my batch said, hey, do you know there's no South Asian woman has been hired in a top firm in investment banking from our school. So your chances are near to zero. And I'm like, okay, same concept, let's give it a shot. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And it worked out, right? Like, just be confident in yourself. And then even at Amazon, like the role I'm currently in, I'm leading a good team. I'm heading one of their big kind of businesses from a finance perspective. This again, not to genderify or like call out, there was the white guy who was leading the role, and I was in the team, and I said, hey, I'm interested in kind of doing this role. And at that time, I had 0 people reporting to me, and they said, all right, go for it, go build a team. And here I am a year later with a team, and like I assume I'm doing pretty okay, right? So like I think you got to ask for it. That's my motto of like, how do women get into those roles? Because I think we're always very self-criticizing. We think we cannot do something, but we really can, right? And I've spoken to a lot of senior women, and this has been a resonating fact. Like even asking for a promotion, asking for a raise, we just don't do it. We think it's not okay to ask, but please ask. Like just ask. It's okay.
I can't underscore that more. And if I make it really basic, some of it's just about being brave. Like, right? Some of it is just taking the leap and figuring it out from there. And you're absolutely right. These are really great points. Okay, so following up on that, and I know we've touched on this a little bit. So advice to early or mid-career women. Faiza?
Absolutely. I think mid-career or breaking out into the job market a little bit later in life. So life is a team sport, and you need to have a good team, and you need to be able to network. So for women here in the US, start reaching out to your neighbors. Like your neighbors are such an easy access resource. Start reaching out to them and ask them, where did they work? Where do their kids work? Or where do their in-laws work? Whatever. And you'll suddenly realize that there is a huge network available to you. And it's at your fingertips. Since that's simple. Whatever city you are in, there are conferences, local conferences that happen. Get up and go to those. Dress up nicely. You don't even have to have a resume. Just print out like a card from FedEx and go to those and introduce yourself. To your point, Yusra, ask for it. Ask for what you want. And then for women who are already in their careers, if you're maxing out in your organization, and you would know if you're maxing out, there are 3 types of people that you need to be very aware of. Mentors. Mentors are the ones who are going to tell you what's good for you and what's bad for you. They are not your personal counselors, they're mentors. The next one are champions. Champions are people who are going to speak well of you when you're absent in the room. They know your work and they think highly of you, and they're not afraid to say it. And then the third one are cheerleaders. This is your personal group, your friends at work who are like, fantastic, you've done well, you can do more. So make sure you have those 3 groups clearly identified in your organization.
Very, very well said, Faiza, because I think that I never thought about it like that, but I think that we've always had those people. And right. And if you think about it, this is the very important element of male mentors. These are the people who are supporting us in our organizations. So it's not just about women supporting women, but it's also our strong male mentors that are speaking up for us.
Yeah, if I may add one more point, your peer group at IBA, all of them are one of the best people that you will find in this world. So make sure you have those ties, because they can advise you. In that group, you have like 200 years worth of experience, right? So tap on it.
Sounds good. Okay, Eemaan?
Sure. I think, early, mid, any level of career, what's really important is to keep going. मतलब जिंदगी में ups and downs आते रहेंगे, कोई अच्छे वक्त होंगे, कोई बहुत मुश्किल वक्त होंगे, लेकिन not to be disheartened and to keep going and to take one day at a time. So what if you had one bad day? Tomorrow is another day. Just do your best. So kind of like, to sum it up, do your best every day and success will follow. Like you just have to be honest in your work ethic. You have to be really transparent in your communication. I think that's really important. Be clear in what you want, kind of like Yusra's point as well. Ask for it. Listen also. When we talk about communication, it's not just talking. It's really a lot of listening. And apply that listening to your environment, to your work situation. It's just that, I think when I think of my career, I never really thought of like, what would help me except for like, okay, I'm going to do my best today. और बस आज की आज देखी जाएगी, कल की कल देखी जाएगी, and tomorrow you start with the same cycle. And I also, lead agile technologies, and agile, the mindset is very like break everything up in small tasks, and the accomplishment of a small task encourages you to do another task. So literally think of your day as an agile sprint, and every hour could be like a task, and that keeps you going throughout the day and then ultimately throughout your life. It's not what you want at the end, it's what you do today that will get you there. And sometimes you may not even know what the end is, and it may surprise you.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
That's
So similar question, and probably the last question of this section is thoughts on career development and how to approach it, or how would you approach it? So Yusra, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think as everyone here is saying, it's a journey or a path that you choose for yourself based on your situation, right? When I think about career development, I think about skill development. I think about developing those professional relationships. I think about growth in terms of like role changes, and I think about promotions, right? So that's development for me, like summed up, right? And I think there are very different facets of it. I think every organization that I've worked with in Pakistan or in the US here, I've built those relationships, and it is my duty and responsibility to keep in touch with those people, because you never know, at some point in life they'll be handy and they'll help me, right? So that's about those professional developments that I mentioned. About career development and about in terms of like growth of roles or a promotion, I think Amazon, for example, my current role, they do a great job of laying it out for you, right? Like you are the owner of your career development. So you tell me when you want that next role, or when you want a change in location, or when you want that next promotion, and people around you, be it your peers, be it your business partners, be it your manager, they're responsible to facilitate you, but you drive it, right? So I think when you think about career development, I honestly have an Excel sheet where I'm like, all right, it's like that project that you have, and you have a red or a green or a yellow. Like I kind of think about it that way, right? Like where am I right now? Where do I want to see myself? The cliched next 5 years, and then the short and the medium term. So you got to lay it out in your head, and then people around you are all like pluggers and resources that help you along the way, but you own your development. That's my 2 cents on this.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Faiza?
So I have a completely different approach. So I think there are a lot of people who don't know what they want. Okay. And absolutely, I was one of those people for the majority of my life. Did no clue what I wanted, just wanted to have a nice time. किसी के साथ भी गप लगाने के लिए I'm ready, or bus, that's it. So I started out with finance. Finance क्यों pick किया? क्योंकि भाई finance की job हमेशा मिल जाएगी. Finance को तो हमेशा job मिल जाती है. मुझे भी मिल गई. All good, right? And then 4 years in finance, I was like, dear God, I cannot do this anymore, right? So I went to a different company, and again, background to finance का ही था ना, तो उनकी भी finance की job के लिए apply किया. And then like I was sitting with the HR recruiter, and I described to her whatever my dream was. I love talking, and I like this, and da. And she had that role. So she hired me for that role, and I've been in that role. And then now I want to do other things, right? So then I network out. There's a startup co-working place that I go to. In addition to my job, I go to conferences. I network out with my neighbors. I'm part of my HOA. I try to get involved in the city government. So career development is more about you have to, at some point, you have to start leading with your heart. You can't, that's my opinion. That's been my journey. Having done market development, having done corporate finance, having done business intelligence, having done enterprise projects, strategic thinking, managing like your little HOA, kiske garage mein kya jayega. But it's more about like, what do you want to do? And then you take it from there.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I really truly believe in controlling your destiny, and then you need to work towards it, just like you work towards your projects. Like you have to be mindful of the fact that there's not going to be somebody leading you to your path. There will be, it's you yourself and asking for those opportunities and saying, and kind of knowing yourself and saying, no, I can take this next opportunity.
Yeah.
I've done 3 out of the 5 things of this job description, but I'll figure those 2 things out, because I mean, that's how the rest of them do it. So,
I think I'm cheerleading for those जिन्हें नहीं पता होता कि हमें क्या करना है.
Absolutely.
But it's still okay, you still end up in a good place. बस आज का काम अच्छी तरह से करो.
For sure.
That's the most important thing.
Sounds good. So thank you so much for all of these wonderful, insightful answers. And